Hello, everybody, and welcome to OpenExO Live. So great to be with you all. This evening, we have Karina Besprovan, who is going to be joining us. And you can see on the screen right now the amazing people who are going to be following Karina. But we're really excited to chat to Karina tonight. And as we usually do, before we get going, I'm just going to share some words from some of our community members about Karina. So the first one for this evening comes from, and sorry, it seems to be taking a little while to get onto the screen. Let me just click there. The first one that we have is from Angelo Ortega, and he just says, Karina is one of the smartest people that I have ever met. Always positive, clear, and proactive. She challenges and brings you to focus over and over again. I just want to say thank you for all the knowledge, support, and experience she has shared with me. And then next, we have from Diana saying, Karina is a powerhouse. She has been a great inspiration to me. It's always great to see her making things happen in the community and striving to co-create a better future. Thank you. We need more Karinas in the world. And then next, we have from Rodrigo, Karina is a bomb of motivation, passion, and great charisma that you must have within your team. An excellent person, mother, and friend who is always eager to contribute and help collaboratively. And then last up for this evening, we have from Gabriel, Karina is a forward thinker, expert on community engagement, and a great contributor to the OpenExO community. She is passionate about education, innovation skills, Gen Z, and the future of talent. Her work with EXO Educate, an organization that designs training programs that allows the incorporation of new methodologies, frameworks, and critical tools to compete and be successful in today's world, is inspiring. So these are just some of the comments that some people in our community have made about Karina. So Karina, it is great to have you with us today. I know that you are calling from Miami and it's a little bit stormy. So welcome, Karina. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you very much. I am humble for those so nice quotes that you share with me. So thank you very much for the people. Really appreciate, very grateful.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. So, Karina, you've been in the OpenExO community since pretty much the beginning, right? So, and before it was even called OpenExO. Tell us a little bit how you got involved in the community.
Okay, yes, sure. I think that everything started when I was 17 years old. That yes, it's very interesting how things are connected when you start connecting the dots, because I start working as a researcher. So that was my passion. I wanted to listen to people, to observe people, to talk with different people, just to imagine how they live, how they think. And then I discovered that why staying in Argentina? Why staying in Argentina if I can get people from all around the world? So I said myself, I am going to move once. Here I am in in Miami, but I first traveled the world. I went into UK first, into Chile then, and then into Miami. And then I started thinking that, of course, you can be wherever you want with any people that you want. And that start of my thinking of the abundance that you can have in the world, and not always try to accomplish and to stay with the people that you know, what your attitudes, with your routines. So I start looking for communities that were similar to the thoughts that I have, communities where I can find people with the same thinking, with the same interest, with the same passions. And here I was one day in Singularity University. I couldn't believe what I was seeing there, it was really a newborn for me. It was a new world. I couldn't get back to my place, to my house. I didn't want to get back to my house because I discovered a new world. And it was difficult to get used in the first month to living in Miami again and to stay with the same people. And then magic happens. Magic happens. What happened in singularity didn't stay in singularity. I got to one person that connect me with somebody here in Miami. And there I started. I started with one person that made a connection, and then a connection and a connection and a connection. So I really start engaging, as you mentioned, before the OpenExO community. The first project, it was mobility, Miami Mobility, with the Fast Track Institute here in Miami, where I met amazing people. Uh, Everybody was virtual at the very beginning until we had the first meeting. We couldn't wait to meet each other, to see the faces at this very beginning. So we hug each other. And then we have my friends from this first meeting, from this first project, and we continue together, moving on there.
Wow, yeah, no, absolutely. And so, I mean, obviously the community's changed quite a bit since you joined. What's your experience been, from that initial community of maybe a few 50, 100 people to, to what we're seeing now, which is global and just over 6,000 people?
So I think that involving and matching people that share your passions, your goals, your dreams is the most powerful thing that you can have, of course. And when you think about that, you don't have any barriers, no boundaries, and you want really to understand and to help doing stuff wherever you can. It's wonderful, and it's passionate to have so many people. What I found is, of course, like every community, when you are many people, when we were 100 people, it was easier to know each other, to share with each other, and to have face-to-face conversation and work together. Now it's impossible. Myself, that I am a researcher at heart and I want to talk with people, to know each other, it's hard to me. It's been hard to me to try to know each other, and you know that it is my commitment to try to find ways to try to be more engaged and more related, and to start talking and sharing passions. And this is why I started the EXO Latam community. It was very interesting because we found last year in 2019, we were very happy to have a growing community from Latin American and Hispanic and Spanish speaker people. So that's amazing. So we start to talk each other in Spanish, of course, and we discovered that we have a lot of passions in common, and that we need more meetings and more conversation just to move forward. So I am also very happy that we could found a subgroup inside the communities, because when you have bigger communities, it's very interesting that you have subgroups that you share interests, so you can grow better and faster. I think that it's very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, 100%. And it's really exciting to see, all those different groups and people being able to, as you say, like finding what they're passionate about. But it's quite funny how you said, when you working with people across the world and you don't really get to meet them, when you do finally meet them in person, suddenly you actually know them quite well, and you think I'm sure we've met before. So can you share some of the projects you're working on at the moment? Especially those that are potentially multicultural or around the world. What are you working on?
Okay, I want to share before one thing that you talk about. It was very interesting because I had been working with Luciana Ledesma. She's from Argentina, like me, but she moved into Europe, into Holland, and we had been working in two projects last year. Uh, Virtually, of course, we didn't meet each other, and then we met in the
Mm.
United States, in the headquarters of the United Nations. I think that you had also been there, and it was very
Yeah.
interesting because we were. She came from the south, I came from the north, and we met in mid Manhattan. And when we saw each other, we gave a big hug. We couldn't believe it because we had been working for 8 months. So it was a very weird and very strange. And then I went into Europe, into her house with my son. So you don't only meet colleagues, but you meet friends. This is what also I wanted to
Mm.
remark when you meet them face to face. It's very interesting, the situation. And talking about the projects, um, I start, of course, with the community, working in global projects, but it wasn't my first time. I start working like 10 years ago in regional projects, global projects. First with the
Mm.
telephone, that you couldn't see each other, so from the telephone we changed into Zoom. And what I learned is that you need this. You need to have this open mind, just to understand people, just to get what other people need to add, the ways that they are saying things, that it's not for granted that they are saying the same that you understand. So it was very challenging. And the last one, it was especially challenging because it was like a humanitarian project in Sydney. Imagine that. From Argentina in Miami, working
Ah.
into a University of Sydney project. It was an humanitarian hackathon. And it was very interesting to understand. I got some insight here that human problems are the same. So we have the same human problems. You have we suffer from the same stuff. Poverty is the same. Gender inequality is the same. People want to make the difference in every place, but the way that you need to try to tackle these problems and the solutions, the ideation, the team grouping, how you educate the people and the ideas they come, are absolutely different because anybody understands solutions in different way. So I have been working in
Mm.
problems, in insights all my life, but it's very interesting anytime to realize that problems are global, but the solutions needs to be local, how to achieve the solutions. And I wanted to share with you another project
Mm.
that I done, but it's not about myself. It's about my children, because I like Diana said, I am passionate, and when I discover something that I love and I like, I want to involve everybody, just to share it. So with my daughter, we did a project because everybody was suffering about coronavirus and the lack of using of masks. So
Mm.
we were struggling and said, what are we going to do? We cannot go outside. So we were thinking about an idea using exponential, using abundance. And I wanted to share here is a poster. I don't know if you see. We did a poster here. I don't know if you see, but
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
just to inspire young generations just to use math. But how you did it? Instead of her drawing a picture, because she can draw one, we did a contest. So we invite a lot of people. So we got exponentially with the newspaper where I work. So we got a lot of people, a lot of companies just to pay for it. So we have a jury, we gave prizes, and it was very comforting because it was a way during the COVID to make some good, but also to involve your family. in this pathway to that. So you can make, and I like what you said, that it's not only applying exponentially with clients, but it's applying in your everyday life. You can make it with your ever decision that you take. And I think that it's the most important insight that I want to share, because you can use it creatively in what you do every day.
Yeah, absolutely, Karina. And there are some questions that have come in, and in fact, great. They were questions that I was planning to ask. So from Gen Z Futurist, there's a question that just says, how important do you think it is for Gen Z to be learning about EXO and the EXO model?
Okay, I think that the question is the opposite down. What I discovered when I started studying the Gen Z is that I realized that they were having their own rules, their own conversations, their own way of doing stuff. And the first time that I realized that is because I was with my son, his daughter, my son, my brother, and his daughter, trying to speak with them. And we realized that only my brother and myself we are talking, and they were using Snapchat at the same time in the same building. So I said, if we want to really understand them, we need to jump. We need to learn how they are doing things. And for our surprise and for my surprise, we need to learn a lot of stuff from them. They are already thinking exponentially. And it's a matter of time that we adults understand their way, their word, and how to learn. And what I did as an hypothesis, just to try my hypothesis, I put my son in the Boston EXO internship for 10 weeks. He's graduating tomorrow. So he went through all the EXO process, and we had excellent conversations, and he saw things in a different way, so we could learn each other. So this is my recommendation or my insights. We don't need to separate Gen Z and adults. We need to mix and integrate, because we are going to learn from each other amazing things.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that interaction, there's even more learning to happen. And you mentioned that your son is at the Boston EXO internship, and the next question actually comes from Eric, who is from Boston EXO, Eric Patel, and he's just saying, how do we help others to then think more abundantly and exponentially? So maybe it's not the Gen Zs that need to think this way, but how do we get people to think this way?
Okay, I think again, I repeat, and I want to thank Eric here, because he did a great job with all these kids from week 1 to week 10. It was amazing to see how they start changing. So in that way, it's a process. It's an everyday process. It's a culture. It's like a cultural stuff. When you enter a company and when you don't repeat the values every day, and when you don't live the values, but you have something written in the wall, it's not enough. So you need to show every day in your actions about this abundance way of thinking, about sharing with your kids or with your friends conversations regarding abundance, critical thinking, listening to others. So I think that it's a way of living, and then you are going to adjust, and we need to adjust people to this way of living. It's not only educating at institutions, it's every day.
No, absolutely. And that sort of makes me think of another question I wanted to ask you. As a researcher and someone who's, who really looks at a hypothesis, then looks at the data, what do you think, is important around that? And, actually using the EXO model, but actually looking at the data behind it, because that's so important. So what's your thinking towards that?
Okay, what I think is that, and I did my own research and my own hypothesis and my own journey, and it was very interesting that I didn't come to the OpenExO and the EXO by chance. I was pursuing that. It was first a dream, then it was a passion, and then a purpose. And it's true because you start having conversations with yourself about why we are doing things in this way, why we don't push, why this is that people that are here that are not connected to people that are there, why are they not using this and that. So when you start connecting the evolution of methodologies and tools and frameworks that we have been using for the last 20 years, you come to the conclusion that it's time. And as you like to say, that 2020 is the time of an EXO, but not because you said that, or I said that, or Salim said that. It's because you did in your brain, you did the process. You try tools, you try methodologies, and you said, okay, the world is changing. We cannot repeat the same stuff that we had been repeating and be lucky today. And we have the opportunity to see that. So I think that we need to look at the data and to look at the evolution, and we need to look into history, these continuities and the ruptures, the moments in history that were very important to us. So what happened at this moment? How we change, how we incorporate the new stuff. And this is the way for me to incorporate EXO. It's not something separate, it's part of a process, and it's the strawberry of the cake. After making everything, talking about recipes, I like cakes. So it's the last part that we need to integrate into another methodology. The business model campus, the empathy campus, the lean, the design thinking, consumer-centered designs, all the methodologies, all what we have learned, now push it harder. Take it stronger. Take it to the space. Just push. And then you are going to start building from there.
Absolutely. Karina, it is always a pleasure speaking to you. It's always wonderful having a conversation. What would you like to end off with today and leave with those people who are listening in and watching watching after this live call?
Okay, I would like to leave with one book that I was a pleasure to listen to the author in a Singularity event here in Miami. And it's called How to Raise Successful Kids. And I think that it's so interesting because you can learn there all the questions that you have been asking me, and you can challenge yourself as a parent, as a human being, as a professional, as a friend, wherever you want to learn about yourself and how to make societies more powerful and impact for a better future. So I wanted to recommend that book, that it's very, very, very helpful, and I am very grateful that I met the author and I have it with me now.
Awesome. Well, Karina, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for joining us on OpenExO Live, and we will definitely see you in the community very soon.
Okay, thank you very much, Kevin.
Bye-bye. So it's been great chatting with Karina this evening. Thank you for joining OpenExO Live. We look forward to seeing you again next week.